let's talk about gender and the erasure of women. Busi Lurai as Tumi was everything. Can we just agree on that? I mean, that opening scene where she cusses out that kid at the pool is the best way they could have opened this season.
Fuck off, you piece of shit!
This show is fucking hilarious, and Tumi is just everything. To be clear, that whole Tumi thing is completely unrelated because I want to talk about gender and the erasure of women in How to Ruin Christmas. The focus will be on two main incidents that just pissed me off. Our society is structured in the craziest way possible. Lydia and Temba's child, baby Shaka, is considered a Twala. Hell, we don't even know Lydia's maiden name, so we know the baby's name ain't hyphenated. That's a full Twala baby if there was ever one. And it's not just the original Twalas who consider him a Twala. Even Lydia calls him a Twala boy.
What do you want, Shella? What do you feel? Do you think we should move out? Of course you don't think we should move out then. We're going to be close to village. Typical Twala boy.
Lydia herself has likely dropped her maiden name and taken on the Twala surname. All our naming conventions exhibit this stark commitment to erasing women. A man pumps into you for a couple of minutes, then ejaculates. Then you proceed to carry this organism that acts no different from a parasite, while hormones wreck your body and you deal with everything from cramps to nausea and horrific things in between for about 270 days. You give birth after the 270 days of discomfort and maybe even agony, in a life-threatening procedure that could end with you ripping your whole vagina and ass up, or even dead altogether. Then you hold this new life you just risked your life to make and deliver, cradle it in your arms, look at this nigga who did the 5-minute ejaculation job, and name the kid after him. Was actually ask him to name the child. Tell me something crazier than that. I push a baby through my tiny body and then give it some man's name? Worse, let him name it? Yeah, friends, I can confidently say, could never be me. Negative. Could never be me. You birth a baby and they don't even carry your name? I have these nibblings whose father is a different tribe from their mother. This one time their mother was talking about how they're from their father's tribe. And I was like, why they ain't from 2 tribes? They're literally from 2 tribes. Meantime, everybody's looking at me weird. How do you allow yourself to be so completely erased? Like, you don't even think you can tell your kids they're from 2 different tribes? And those children are male. So just imagine what you're teaching them from a young age about women and girls. My dad is from a place called Rai, and my mom from a place called Asembo. When people ask me where I'm from, I tell them both places. Inevitably, someone says, you're from Rai, because that's where your dad is from. Then I have to ask, is my mother not a person? Is she not my parent? Is she not my first home, the first place I ever lived? How my father's home going to be more my home than my mother's home is? Y'all play too much. Society works overtime to erase women, to completely invalidate our contributions. Otherwise, what does it mean if your mother's tribe has no effect on what your tribe is? What does it mean if your father's family name is the only one recognized as your name? Is your mother not a person? Did she not make you herself in her body? Is she not the one who nursed and fed and changed you and grew you into the person you are? How is it possible that where she was born is not your home, but where your 5 pounds father was born counts? How? No, I'm not buying that bullshit. I refuse to be complicit in my own erasure. No. Stateless women. The second incident that highlights women's erasure and their precarity involves Valencia and Prue, who's Vusi's aunt. After the church is robbed and the pastor pulls the church out of any involvement in the burial, Vusi, Valencia, and Auntie Prue try to figure out the way forward. Valencia suggests they pitch a tent in the compound. Auntie Prue gets big mad and tells her to shut up, adding, quote, "You're not a part of this family." Valencia has been married to Vusi for at least 30 years, going by the age of their children, and still she's not considered a member of his family. Women get married, and in complete contravention of biblical principles which many claim to base their marriages on, they leave their families and join the man's family. In the Bible, the man leaves his family, but where's the fun in that? Women have to be the ones to leave and go to a foreign land where they may or may not be accepted. Now that's more fun, more dramatic. There's a story there. So Valencia left her family and joined this one. She gave up her name and became Valencia Twala. If South Africa is anything like Kenya, she's left her family so completely that if she dies, she will be buried where this man's family home is. She gave it all up. She then produced with her own body 2 prized male sons and gave them the man's name. After all that, some woman in the middle of an argument can declare that she is not a member of their family. Okay, women give everything up. They give up their families, they give up pieces of themselves, they give it all up to be considered acceptable to men and patriarchal society. They give up their own humanity, their sense of self, just to get married and get this false respect women get from society when they toe the patriarchal line. You set yourself on fire just to get this conditional acceptance from people who don't even see your humanity, much less love and respect you. Does that sound to you like a rational thing to do? People will do anything to avoid being lonely, to avoid the societal rejection that comes with recognizing your own worth and refusing to be dehumanized. Give me lonely anytime. I'ma just be lonely by my lonesome, ordering blow-up dolls to cuddle with from Amazon before I sacrifice my humanity for entry into an institution that does not value me, does not value women. No. Women leaving their homes and not knowing whether they'll be accepted by their penis person's family is by design. It is designed to make women precarious and stateless, homeless really. In Kenya, in most tribes, once you're married, you belong to that other family, and coming back home is a thing of shame. One tribe even give you a bed and mattress on your wedding day to symbolically show you have nowhere to sleep in your father's house once you're married. Just imagine what it must be like to know that you're not welcome in this new place, and there's no place for you back home either. In Kenya, for many, if not all tribes, if you're married, when you die, you're buried where your husband is from. This pisses me off so much. A man can know throughout his life with reasonable clarity where he'll be buried when he dies.
Bury me in Georgia.
Women, on the other hand, know that this is dependent on who they marry. Fuck that. Women are just completely stateless, with where they live and even get their bodies interred, being dependent on some man. It's all fun and games when it's just theory. It's all fun and games until people start following those traditions seriously. My mom recently told me a horrific story. Because according to tradition, a married woman is to be buried by her husband in his ancestral land. Her father cannot bury her. You would think there are extenuating circumstances under which these traditions are suspended. You would be wrong. So anyway, my mom was telling me about this woman who was violently killed by her husband. This murderous husband was then arrested. The dead girl's mother wanted to bury her. Her husband, the dead girl's father, said no. He said she was married, and so it's her husband who gets to bury her, and his word stands because the land is his. This dead girl's mother just lives with him, but the land belongs to him. The dead girl's body remained in the morgue for weeks, while her mother's family, that her mother had left in the name of marriage, tried to raise money to buy land and bury her. This is the statelessness women are subjected to. Everything belongs to men. The land, the family you join, the names, the children, everything belongs to men. Everything belongs to men so that women can be as precarious as possible. This story serves to remind us that men who benefit from patriarchy and are committed to upholding it will choose the patriarchy over their children, over their own daughters. He is a man before he is your father, your husband, your friend. Anyway, as someone said, marriage and having daughters will never end patriarchy. Men continue to marry women they despise and proceed to have daughters that they continue to despise. So, heterosexual marriage has never ended sexism or patriarchy, and it never will. It is in fact founded on it. Marriage only exists to exploit women, to disappear and erase them, and to make them as precarious as possible. That's why I can't. I just can't. About death and dying. So I'm thinking about how Gogotwala just smiles as she takes in the lights and the day she's had, maybe the life she's lived, as she slowly slips away and then is gone. No fear. I think about the Bible that's shown in the scene and how it's likely intended to telegraph that the reason she isn't afraid is because of her faith in God, the fact that she's a Christian or something. I can't get over how contradictory that messaging is. There are few people as afraid of death as Christians, in my experience. I remember my days in church, from the time I was a child to the time I left, and the plethora of sermons asking, if you died today, where would you go? These sermons were not intended to give people comfort in the fact that because they're saved, they will wake up in the arms of Abraham. They were intended to stoke that fear of waking up being burned and not consumed by hellfire. That was the point. This is before we even jump into the subject of the rapture. There are entire therapy practices set up to help ex-evangelicals deal with their rapture anxiety. Christianity is anchored on fear. If people were not so afraid of death, witchcraft, the devil's activities, and a myriad of other things, there wouldn't be as many people in the pews every Sunday. I remember what changed the game for me regarding all this fear that's constantly stoked by pastors was being introduced to Joseph Prince. That nigga changed the game for me. Once I heard him, could nobody tell me nothing. Fear for what? Where will I go when I die? Bitch, I'm saved by grace. It has nothing to do with works. It's all Jesus. Aren't you afraid of what the devil could do to you? No. What do I look like? God takes care of me, so that's his beef. What it got to do with me? Either God is powerful enough to beat the devil, or he ain't. If he is, he don't need me praying and fasting and whatnot to get it done. And if he ain't more powerful, then I'm fucked either way. Either God's got it, or he don't. It don't matter what I do. That motherfucker changed the game for me. Now he's hanging out with American TBN grifters, but that ain't my issue no more. I'm completely out the religious game. Back to her during Christmas. Seeing Gogotwala sleeping slowly into death with the Bible next to her was kinda oxymoronic. But hey, maybe she's one of those salvation by grace types. Who knows? Male abuse for laughs. What the fuck was that thing Valencia was doing grabbing men by their balls? She grabbed her son Temba, then next grabbed her husband Vusi. Both times, she squeezed hard enough for them to squeal in pain. What in actual fuck was that?
Oh, one more thing. Yabo uyindoda manje. But you're still my son. Ungaloko uthi ukhulume nami kanjalo yangizwa. I'm still your mom. Siyena umngane wakho mina. Ngithi I may love you. But don't you ever do that to me. Uyangizwa ukuthi ngithini? Ungikambela amanga wevusi. No.
That's abuse. That's what that is. We teach children, that nobody's supposed to touch their private parts, not even their parents. We teach both children and adults about consent and the fact that nobody gets to touch you without your express permission and approval. What was that? First, ew. That's fucking repulsive. Second, for God's sake, writers, please, don't subject us to any more of that. Playing male abuse for laughs only serves to minimize what abuse is and its impact on people's lives. All it does is normalize dismissing abusive behavior, and while on screen it's being done to men because somehow we have agreed that's amusing, that same behavior will be done to women and children. There's nothing funny about abuse. Stop trying to make it a joke. It's not funny. Not even a little bit. Doing it for the children. The neo scum of an ex comes back into their lives to fleece their daughter Beauty of money. To make him go away, Dineo decides to give him her entire pension. Like the greedy asshole he is, he takes it with great joy. I talk about the misogyny of this writing in a video linked to below. How the writers take money from the only woman in the show who has her own money and give all of it to a man, leaving her precarious in her old age. For now, let's talk about Dineo's fucked up idea of problem solving. We have here a man who saw their daughter broken down with grief over her miscarriage and thought, bingo, there has never been a better time to swindle her than now. Then he wormed his way into her life, pretending to be deathly ill to garner her affection and make it easier to steal from her. Dineo finds out that instead of telling their child that her father is the very spawn of Satan, she offers him her pension, her decade's worth of pension, then tells him never to return. Yeah, that'll work. Great problem-solving skills, Dineo. There has never been a better problem solver. You need to be teaching a TED Talk. Heck, they need to give you a masterclass. That TED Talk shit is for rookies. I bet if you asked Dineo why she did that, she'd assume the most put-upon, loving mother victim face you ever saw, and say she did it for her daughter. She made that sacrifice for love. But she didn't. That wasn't about love, not even a little bit. Which is not to say you don't love your child, just that was not the primary motivation of this act. Parents pretend and hide and lie, all in the name of protecting children. Dineo's helping me see that it has nothing to do with children and everything to do with saving face so that you don't look like the idiot who fell for the lies of an abusive conman. It's just an attempt to preserve this image in front of your kids. You don't want them to see that you were dating and married to the trashiest of all the trash men. You don't want them to know you once chose trash. Dineo, you fell for the lies of a conman and a trash human being. Everyone's been there. Fucking own up to it and keep it moving. Edmund is an abuser who tried to take advantage of his own child while she was grieving the death of her child. How is keeping such crucial information from your child an act of protection? What hellish level of self-deception is this? What's to keep your pathetic ex-husband from making an appearance after he runs out of cash or just decides he wants more money? Say you drop dead today and your filthy ex-husband Edmund is still alive. Don't you think he could make another try at lying to Beauty and fleecing her? She's a fucking adult. Hiding the truth from her doesn't keep her safe. If anything, it makes her vulnerable. People just find it easier to lie than to tell the truth. And we should just own up to that instead of hiding behind lies about how caring we are and how we're just trying to protect our loved ones. You're just a coward, Dineo. That's it. A fucking coward who is deliberately leaving her overly trusting child vulnerable to the lies of a dangerous conman. I would be so pissed if I was Beauty and I found out later. I'd be livid as a motherfucker. Women default to this instinct to protect men, especially when it comes to their children. They don't want their children to know that their father's a bad guy, pure and simple. You can justify it when children are young, but someone like Beauty, a full-grown woman who can make her own babies? Come on, be serious. I also think women need to arrest this ingrained instinct to protect men. Expose them and their filth. Leave no dirty laundry unaired. I wonder if in Dineo's case, given how pious she is, it was also an act of self-flagellation, punishing herself for sleeping with him out of wedlock or whatever. What do y'all think? That's it for today. As always, thanks for stopping by. Until next time, remember who you are. Love you. Love people. Stay lit.